man, why does she have to look like that? He's only interested in it because, like, you know, the naked girl on the cover, and then you're just like, look how cool that sword is! And I'm just like, dude doesn't even see the naked girl, does he? I'm just insecure.
Alright, we're back with some more of Darksiders. In the last episode, we finished the Abyssal Armor, which I am donning now. And now we're going to collect the remaining shards of the Armageddon Blade. So this is basically all the cleanup before the finale. So you're probably wondering, well, how come I'm not speeding this up? Because there's actually a couple cutscenes that tie into the ending of this game. What? What happened?
You have to get the Armageddon Blade, so he's Armageddon out of here.
Mm-hmm. We made that joke last part.
Did I?
Yes.
I don't even remember.
Woo, boy.
ADHD. It's fine.
This joke was funny in part 25. Maybe I'll say it in part 26.
Armageddon out of here.
Da-da-da-da-da-da. Brown. No, that's a new record for you. Usually you repeat jokes that are either from the beginning of the playthrough
or
from
like
a different playthrough, and it's just like, not everyone watches our stuff. It's okay. But no, we made that joke last episode.
Wow.
Last week.
For sure.
Ah, well. All is forgiven. Okay. Yes, Volker, the final battle is before us. So coming up here is a very important encounter. In order to get this shard, we must face Uriel one last time.
This is no ambush, horseman. I come alone. I, Uriel of the Hellguard, champion of the White City, call you, horseman, to Nex Sacramentum.
Fool.
I lay claim to your life before the Creator. Will you dishonor this law as well?
Why?
My
Because
sword's bigger
Abaddon
than
said you
yours.
I know.
would honor, and because he was the best
Save
of
the
us.
measuring for when our
The
dicks are out.
death
Get
oath
this
cannot
over
be
with.
broken until one
What would you do if Uriel just worked out?
I'd be like, whoa, didn't see that coming.
Like I said, I'm captain of the Hellguard. Can't you see by my heavenly schwang? This gives a whole new meaning to the game Heavenly Sword.
I was gonna say most innuendos are swords.
That is quite true. Alright, so this is the one-on-one battle with Uriel. She telegraphs most of her attacks, so yeah, she's actually not too difficult. But if she does hit you, it will hurt. This might sting a little. But Heavenly Sword was actually a launch game for the PS3, and it has my favorite villain in perhaps all of video games.
Ooh.
Why? Because he's played by Andy Serkis, aka Gollum.
Huh.
Also, like, Snoke for newcomers. But still, like, it's a hell of a performance because, like, he does, like, the motion capture. This was when, like, they started putting motion capture into video games. It was a big push for the PlayStation 3. And he plays, like, this corrupted king who is just so enthusiastic, sadistic, and just, like, perfectly acted that it makes him so entertaining to watch. Like, a beautiful performance. The game itself, it's fine. It's kind of like your standard hack and slash, more or less, and there are a couple like scantily clad scenes that I'm not sure have aged well. Again, I haven't played the game in a while, but the villain is just amazing. I love the villain of that game. And Andy Serkis would go on to mocap quite a few other characters in video games because he's like a pioneer in motion capture.
Yeah.
Not only in acting, but also the technology itself. He knows the technology so well that he helped shoot the Hobbit movies. So during the Hobbit movies, regardless of the quality of the films, they split up into an A team and a B team. Peter Jackson was the A team, and they did some shoots, and Andy Serkis was the B team and did some other shoots. So yeah. His most recent project, I recall, was like the Dark Mowgli movie. which is like there's the Jungle Book. Woo!
Oh,
But this is like
yeah.
based
It's
off
Mowgli,
the book,
yeah.
the public domain story. It's a dark story of Mowgli. And apparently it's like very dark, very twisted. I saw a clip where Benedict Cumberbatch is Shere Khan, and he has the line, "The cub is mine. I've already tasted its mother's blood." So I'm just like, oh, fuck. This is not Disney's Jungle Book. This isn't anything like the ride at Disney World.
Bruh. I didn't even know they made a dark Mowgli.
So what was interesting was the whole story behind this was when Disney was doing its live action remake, they were just like, they wanted to own the property. And Warner Brothers says, no, this is public domain. By all rights, we can make a movie. And Disney's like, no, you can't. And there was a dispute settled where it's like, yeah, you can. So within like, I think 2 to 3 years, there were 2 Jungle Book movies.
Oh.
Unfortunately, guess which one made more money.
Yeah.
But it was a big stand to be like, no, Disney, you don't own this. You own your version, but
Yeah.
you do not own the Jungle Book. We can make a Jungle Book movie with Mowgli, Bagheera, Baloo, Shere Khan, and have our own interpretation.
It's just like, it drives me crazy that Disney can do that. Like, even
They try.
stories like, well, even like Cinderella. Mm-hmm. You know?
Like, I get it. They own the music. They own that interpretation, but they do not own the story.
Yeah.
It's like that post about, like, if your Winnie the Pooh has no shirt, your poo is free.
Yeah.
And that being said, as soon as Disney lost the rights to Winnie the Pooh,
Oh my God,
there was that
people
stupid
trashed
horror
it.
movie. Yeah, Blood and Honey. We won. Oh.
I thought he was gonna skull crush her.
What are you waiting for? Harvest this wench. Don't you dare walk away from me. The next sacramentum is mine. I decide when the angel dies, not you.
You swore an oath to me.
Abaddon is
This
the
is a weird
destroyer.
editing choice.
Liar!
To protect you, he kept you from the truth. You pledged to follow your lord into hell, never knowing what awaited you, or what he would become.
It's a little late in the game to start playing with the cinematography.
Yeah, I was about to be like, this is very like
Creation,
samurai warrior.
Yeah, like, what the hell?
its gift.
Like, I don't understand if this came earlier, I would be like, it's a stylistic choice. But the entire game had really good cinematography and very consistent cinematography.
It must
So to have
be
this, like,
fulfilled.
just show up in basically the final act, I'm
I
just
wonder
like,
if again they were
Eh?
running out of time and money and just needed to,
splice something together.
yeah.
Probably. Very poor choice of words. Okay, so yeah, we won the next sacramentum, but it's our decision when the angel dies. So keep that in mind. Alright, 4 Armageddon Blade shards remain. Alright, let's see what we got here. We're gonna go back to Volgrim. And we're gonna find those remaining shards. So I have a topic I'd like to discuss.
Oh boy.
And it happened on one of those days. No. I was watching some videos and like there was a rant someone made about animals portrayed in video games, and I want to know your thoughts. Do you feel it's bad in video games when you hunt monsters, when you hunt like big beasts and stuff like that?
I mean,
do you
we've-
think that's
we've-
kind of like anti-environmental? Or?
So we've talked about this a little bit before.
Okay.
I don't particularly care for when you are hunting monsters or animals that is their home and they belong there.
The Rabbites.
That's, yeah. I mean, I don't take it too seriously because it's a game.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think that people are going to start going out into their yards and hunting rabbits because, well, I saw it in Trials of Mana. Like,
At least they shouldn't, because the person who made the rant brought up like the Jaws reason. People saw Jaws, were
And
so
they were
scared
afraid.
they overfished and started hunting sharks. But I like to say it's similar to, like, if I play a war game, I'm not going to become a mass shooter.
Right.
If I play Doom, it's the Columbine discussion.
I also think that
playing Doom did not result in the Columbine shooting.
Right. I think it
can't
needs
combine the two.
There needs to be an understanding that, like, times have changed.
Okay.
Yes, Jaws made a lot of people really afraid of the ocean and really afraid of sharks.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I don't think that I'm afraid of anything more as hunting because it's fantasy.
Okay.
You know, like, our world doesn't look like this. The things that are hunted don't look like this.
Is it because they're so ridiculous enough they don't look like our animals?
That could be it. But it's also like I have the capacity to understand fiction and fact.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, even people that watched Jaws and are terrified of sharks clearly don't have an understanding or any type of formal knowledge on sharks.
Right.
So they just see that and they're like, oh, I'm afraid of sharks. You know, the same thing happened with Hitchcock. People being afraid of birds because of, you know, the birds. And it's like, it's such a ridiculous thing in my mind to see that and be afraid of it.
I got you.
Because it's a work of fiction.
Okay.
You know, that's like saying, I watched Planet of the Apes and now I'm terrified of gorillas.
Right.
Are you stupid?
Well,
Like, there needs to be a sense of understanding. And I feel like as the world grows and knowledge is more accessible, less people are afraid of those things.
Okay.
So, like, if you think of Jaws, it was in the 1970s. There was no internet.
Yeah.
You know, there was no way for people to look things up like that.
Well,
they could go to a library,
It was based off
but
a shark attack from, like, 1915, I believe, of, like, two boys bitten by sharks. And that's when the story was written.
Yeah.
The book. And then from the book was the Steven Spielberg
Right.
movie and so on and so forth.
But it's like there is a lack of understanding that, like, we as humans do not belong in the ocean.
Uh-huh.
Like, that is not our environment. If it was, then we'd be able to survive in the ocean.
I got you.
You know, so I feel like if you're that afraid, then just don't go in the ocean. You know? Like, if you're terrified of snakes, then don't go into a habitat that has snakes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to me, there's like...
If I'm terrified of spiders, well, I guess I just chose the House of the Spiders.
I take care of most of the spiders.
Thank you.
It's fine. But I, like, morally, I don't have, like, the moral authority to say what's right or wrong.
Okay.
I personally will feel a little bit bad if we go into an area and start, like, killing all of these animals and monsters, but that's, like, the joke that I always make. Like, oh, I'm third generation. Like, I've lived here my entire life. Versus a game like I Am Setsuna, where the monsters don't belong there.
Yep.
You know, they are not native to that area. They're not complacent in that area. Like,
I got you.
So I don't necessarily feel as bad.
Okay. What about the Isle of Siren?
The one thing that I like about the Isle of Siren is you don't always have to fight the monsters. There's moments in the game where it's like, leave it alone. Do not try to fight the monster.
Okay.
That one...
And yet there are raids.
Yeah.
Because it's like, hey, we don't want you on our turf, but it is their turf?
It's... I think it's a difficult thing because there is also the sustainability of your own protection and environment.
Okay.
Like, I don't think that in Ys that they took up too much space.
Okay.
Like, I don't think they took more than what they actually needed.
Okay.
So, to protect the space that they have, I can understand.
Okay.
You know, that is more than just human. That's animals in general will do that. They find a territory, they're like, hey, this is my territory, and they fight to protect that specific territory.
And And honestly, even an answer of like, it's a game, it's fiction.
Yeah.
A beast is a beast.
I mean, that's how I feel
That
outright.
is a valid answer
of
for me.
like, it's just a game. Like, I know that I'm not actually killing dinosaurs. I'm not actually killing wolves. Like, I'm playing a game.
Like, I'm of the belief that, like, if you have to take a stance towards something, you have to be consistent in that stance.
Yeah.
So, for example,
Whereas I'm definitely
I
not.
believe that, like, mass shootings linked to games, and I'm just like, nope, that's not true. Then that is also true for, like, mass huntings are linked to
Right.
games. Sexism is linked to games. Anything like they're not mutually exclusive.
I don't think for any of those things that it's like, no, this has zero influence at all. I think it depends on the player.
Okay.
Do I feel like if you were to sit down and watch this playthrough that you'd be like, oh, I'm gonna grab a giant sword and go kill everyone? No, I don't. But do I think somebody who is in a dark place and mentally ill could sit down and watch something like this and be like, I'm gonna get a giant sword and go kill everyone? Yeah, I do. I don't think it's for everyone. I don't think that violence or sexism or cruelty or hunting in games
Is the
incites
intent
that.
of
Yeah, I don't
the
think
media.
that is what everyone. I don't. I'm trying to say it right. My brain is thinking faster than my mouth.
I have those moments.
I don't think that every single person who comes in contact with these games will try to replicate it.
Gotcha.
But I do think there is a very small portion of mentally ill people who will see this
And use it as a catalyst?
and try to replicate it.
Okay. All right.
I don't think that is the majority.
Right.
I don't even think that, like, the things that we see have been caused by games.
Okay.
I was actually talking with a coworker about this the other day.
Oh, neat.
We were talking about...
I love how my topics aren't as out of left field as I think they are.
No. We were talking about anime and, like,
Go for it.
being anime kids in high school. Mm-hmm. And he said the same thing where he was like, yeah, I had to kind of, like, hide that I liked anime in high school because people will make fun of you. And I was like, dude, I'm literally 15 years older than you, and I feel the same way. That's an exaggeration. I'm like 11 years older than him. But I did the same thing. Like, I really like Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon and Inuyasha. And, like, I didn't tell anyone because you would turn into that weird anime kid.
Yeah.
Even if you didn't wear the ears and the tail and do them, you were still the weird anime kid because you liked it.
Yeah, because you had it on your folder or something.
Yeah. So it's like you didn't share that with anybody. And he was talking about he once saw a fight in his high school where the one kid who started the fight and started to instigate further into the fight was an anime kid. But he was the type of anime kid that was very open and wore the costumes. And, he was more than just, I like to watch Dragon Ball.
Right.
And he said a quote from one of the anime and, like, held his hands like he was gonna fire a Dragon Ball.
Oh, dear.
And, like, got the shit beat out of him.
Yeah, don't do that.
And I'm like, to me, those are the types of kids that would see something like this and try to replicate it, but would be shot down real quick.
Yeah.
Because they just don't have the understanding of fact and fiction.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like somebody who actually has the ability to commit a mass crime, they're not playing a video game.
Okay.
There's deeper issues and deeper violent urges that they have other than video games.
There's layers there. Like onions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think a lot of people can play a game that is very aggressive and violent and feel better in a weird way because,
Yeah, there's
like,
that cathartic argument that
because
often comes up.
everybody as humans, like, we are animals and you feel rage and aggression, and we're so learned and taught to repress that sometimes playing a violent video game will make you feel better, and it kind of gets it out of your system.
Yeah.
And I feel like for
similar
those,
to listening to screamo music
Yeah.
or very aggressive music.
everybody has their outlet of aggression. Kickboxing or running, like a physical exertion. But I definitely think that the people who do go on to commit these types of crimes, they will play these games to get that urge out, and then it's not enough.
Okay.
Like, they don't feel better after playing the game.
I got you.
So I don't think it's the game that makes them think or do what they do. It's themselves, and the game doesn't
it's just
itch that
catapult.
scratch. Yeah.
It's the trampoline that they bounce off to make the act.
It's like, oh, this violent game doesn't make me feel better. I'm going to go buy a gun.
Okay.
You know?
Alrighty then. So, to sum up, there is an aspect there that can be linked to the video game, but the video game is not the cause.
Right. I think that there's definitely a deeper issue with
And that's
the
for all
person,
these
the
things.
individual.
Violence.
Yeah.
Portrayals, negative stereotypes, all that stuff.
Well, because even like I'm a very insecure person.
Fair enough.
When it comes to a lot of things.
I can be pretty damn insecure myself.
So whenever I see like you showing interest in a game and there's a female character that's almost naked and really big boobs and really skinny, I'm like, oh, fuck, man, why does she have to look like that? He's only interested in it because, like, you know, the naked girl on the cover, and then you're just like, look how cool that sword is. And I'm just like, dude doesn't even see the naked girl, does he? I'm just insecure. Whereas, like, if those types of images in games actually did affect the player, then you would see. I know you see her, but that's not the reason you're interested.
Correct.
So I feel like it would be if that's how that idea worked.
But I'm not denying that there are people that are literally like, look at the tits on this one. I gotta play this game.
Because they do exist. And those are the people that they also are the ones that probably go out in public and catcall at women or try to ask a girl out when she says no. They go, well, you're ugly anyway. You know?
You're right.
So it's not the game, it's the person. But they're not getting satisfaction from the game. So they try to bring it into real life. And it just doesn't work.
This feels like an episode of Dr. Phil. Well, you see what happens here.
Oh, Dr. Phil.
I couldn't think of another, like, goofy TV show doctor off the top of my head.
I think he's the only one that I'm... Oh, there's Dr. Oz.
Is he really that different?
No.
So yeah, as much as it's cathartic to grab someone by the ankle and smash them across the ground, I have no urge to do that in real life.
Right.
Well, that's a lie.
I mean...
I do work customer service. There is the imagination of just, you stupid...
Yeah. Like, I mean, I definitely think about these things too, but I don't act on it. I will come home and I will play the game.
Exactly.
Like, and then I feel better.
Get it out of my system by playing the video game. Exactly.
You know, for me,
I think it was George
like,
Carlin who said it was the perfect murder. You take someone and you beat another person with them.
Yeah.
It's the perfect murder.
2 birds with 1 stone. Because I do that with, like, writing. You know, if I'm angry, I write angry scenes of, like... I don't know, it just...
No, I do that too. I know what you're talking about. So you go to like dark parts of your mind when you're like writing a villain or like a dark perspective or like a very like troubling scene or something traumatic.
Like,
and like I'll let loose like some very like dark thoughts or dark ideas.
And then just kind of run wild with it of like, if you had no moral, if you had no restriction, if you could do whatever you wanted, this is
and I
what
tie
it would
them
look
to the
like.
character.
And then you feel better because you got to put that out. You know, you got to, like, give it to something. You know, you gave the feeling purpose without being destructive. There is a constructive way to process the way you're feeling.
Well, that can also still have a negative effect. I know of many, like, writers that feel like, I am in a very bad place after I did that performance, wrote that character. The writer for The Owl House said like she had to have a little bit of therapy after writing Emperor Bellows.
Yeah.
So there is that as well. So like there is some damage still being done.
There is
a far cry from actually acting on it.
Yeah.
But that's still like some
I don't know
people
because
have shame diving into that dark part of their mind.
I think that it's important for people to know that part of themselves. And if you need help or therapy or guidance after exploring that area, then get it.
I feel like it's
then,
scuba diving.
like,
if you go too deep, you must be aware that you're going too deep and tug the line.
Or not even tug the line, but go with a buddy. You know what I mean? Like, I think that that's something that's so important, is, like, you shouldn't feel ashamed of that part of you. Mm-hmm. Because it's a part of you for a reason. If you didn't have that part of you, you wouldn't be who you are.
Right.
So I don't think that there should be shame in that. I think that should be something that you should talk with somebody who is qualified to help you process that part of yourself.
Okay.
I'm not saying, like, if you have deep, dark thoughts to, like, go home and tell your mom, you know, it's like, because they're not going to understand.
But also watch what you say, because then it's like those videos where it's just like got a little too personal with the therapist. And I ended up at the psych ward for the weekend.
You know what? Sometimes I think about a week long in the psych ward, and I'm like, that could be a vacation, you know?
Romanticizing a psych ward. What the hell is wrong with you?
Hashtag customer service. But yeah, like, most licensed professionals will be able to tell if that's just a part of you and a part of the way that your brain works versus, like, something that you are going to act on.
That's what my therapist has mentioned. He's like, there's a difference between you letting it out and me suspecting you are going to act on this.
Yeah.
You are prepped. You are ready to go. When we're done with this session, I am taking action.
Yeah.
That's when the psych ward comes in.
Because I know with, like...
But venting and cussing, like, I was afraid to cuss at first. He was like, fuck it, cuss.
Oh, I did the same thing. I was like, I'm so sorry for my language. And she was like, this is a safe place. But yeah, because, like, I talk about, like, the impulsive thoughts all the time. Like, I know for a fact I am never going to spontaneously drive off a bridge. That does not mean every single time I drive across a bridge, I'm not like, what would happen if I just, like, you know?
I think about that with, like, people just standing on the sidewalk. It's just like, who would stop me if I just...
Yeah, like, there are things you're not
that's
going...
That's a Bill Burr bit, by the way. He's just like, it's funny how, like, just a few notches to the side of the
you
wheel.
Go from
just
hero
like,
to psycho.
You go from hero to, what a traumatic event! 20 lives lost!
But, you know, it is the difference in how you present yourself and the relationship you have with whoever you're talking to. Like, you know, my therapist knows that I'm not going to go out and do those things. But that I also have a very dark and demented sense of humor. So whenever I'm like, haha, I just pictured my head falling off. Like, she knows I'm not going to, like, go chop my own head off. But...
No, this was a nice conversation. A nice, healthy one, laughing and talking about dark subject matter. Nice.
It's totally fine.
All right, so we got all the pieces of the Armageddon Blade. There's one more secret I want to show off.
Oh.
And this is doing it properly. You saw this guy earlier, but I did it improperly. So if you go here...
But I'll have to kill you now.
This dapper, ghoulish
gentleman.
Take this, ruffian! So the key is countering his attacks. If you do it correctly, you get a heap load of souls.
I feel like he should be twirling his cane. I've got nothing but time on my hands.
I just love how as soon as he appears, he's like, terribly sorry, but I'll have to kill you now. And there you go. You get all those souls, whoop, and he vanishes to another part. I'm pretty sure there's a achievement you get if you beat him like as many times as he warps around. But I just wanted to show the proper battle that time. Because last time I turned into like the Chaos Demon, and he was just like, if you're gonna cheat, I'm out.
Yeah. No cheating.
So there we go. That's all the secrets. Now let's go see Ulthane, forge the Armageddon Blade, and then head off to the finale.
Ooh.
Yeah, so like you said earlier, this was a surprisingly short game.
Yeah.
You thought this would be closer to like last story length.
I did, yeah. No, it's...
The second one is apparently a bit longer. The third one, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But, I figure, what the hell, after this playthrough, I'm gonna at least add Darksiders 2 to the wheel.
Yeah.
Doesn't really mean it's next in line.
Right.
Because even Yoshi's like, you're funny.
Poor Yoshi.
Yoshi's in such a poor situation. We have people rooting for the playthrough, being like, well, one day I'll get that playthrough. I'm just like, oh, now I feel bad.
Eventually.
Because originally it wasn't really much of a grab bag. It was just like, you know what? This is recorded. This is next.
It was also like you would ask, like, so what are you going to play next?
Mm-hmm.
Well, for a while we were also trying to do like one short game, one medium length game, one long game.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's just like, you know what? Fuck it. We'll get through all of them eventually.
Whatever I'm in the mood to play, that's what I record, and whatever is selected from the wheel, that's what we do the playthrough of.
Yeah.
That's the policy that I've established.
I
that
think it's
way I'm
working.
not recording something I'm just like, you know, this was fun
You're
in the
burning
first
out,
half.
yeah.
But I am just rushing to the finish line. Who cares about the secrets? Who cares
10
about
points to
the
Gryffindor
bonuses?
for anyone who can guess the game that caused that change.
I'll give you a hint. It's very low in the ranking video.
It might also rhyme with Roy and his Rob.
Alrighty. I'll tell you what game it's not. Darksiders.
Nope.
I'll tell you what game it could have been. The last story for you.
It got better.
It did get
got
better. Yes, it did get better. I'm glad. Alrighty. Now it's time for one badass cutscene. The blade that was broken
He's just
shall
like-
be remade.
It's like, what the fuck did you do to this?
Until now.
War gives me very, like, Geralt of Riviera vibes.
Well, he does have a very, like, gravelly voice.
Just, like, even his aesthetic.
Is it the silver hair or just overall?
Overall.
Interesting. I'd love to play a Witcher game, but I hear they're long as shit.
Yeah. I mean, we have some of the Witcher
We
games.
do have some of them, yes. I like that part. New from Mattel. Oh, looks like a storm's a coming. So just letting you know, there is no final level. We are going to the final battle after this.
Okay.
Just kind of a shame. You get this badass sword and you can use it for one boss fight.
At least you get to
Ah,
use it for the
shit.
boss fight and not, like...
I know what this reminds you of.
What does this remind me of?
Remember when we were making the game and it was just like, okay, so you beat the super boss. What do you get? What about a powerful sword? And you just put the pencil down,
I was
looked
like,
at me
no.
and was just like, no.
You know how angry I would be if I, like, struggled and worked and beat my way through a boss, and then they're like, here's a sword that would have made your life so much easier. Be like, fuck you, take your sword. Shove it.
So yeah, that's not going to be in our game. But yeah, we have the Armageddon Blade and we can take on the Destroyer. In the last part, we will do just that.
Toodles.